Hello, Dr. Dave Highmarshall, GP Templates. In this video, we're going to talk through the consultation model. Now, this is incredibly important, not only just for your general consulting from day to day, but really we're going to try and hammer home just to give you a skeleton of how to outline your consultation, especially if you've got your RCA coming up or your CSA, depending on when they bring it back in due to COVID. So the consultation can be broadly split down into two parts. The first part being the data gathering approach, and that should be very much patient-centered, where you as the consultant are just listening, and then you're nudging the patient to make sure that you're getting the information that you need. Okay. The second part, that's you. That is you earning your money, using your education to actually put a decent plan in place, a decent explanation in place, so that you are in charge at that moment of that consultation. And the reason why I hammer home this sort of the who's in charge at that moment in time is that this structure that Roger Neighbor coined is called crossing the bridge. And this is where you go from the patient moment to the doctor moment. And being aware of that and actually nailing that down can be really useful. When it goes wrong is when you're right at that 8, 9, 10 minute mark and the patient's still chipping in, feeling that they haven't been heard, trying to add more to the consultation, and you're just in the back of your head going, just shut up, it's my turn now. Okay, and that back and forth across the bridge leads to a long consultation and generally an ungainly one. Just sort of bear that in mind when next time you're consulting. So the initial part is your data gathering, and that is you nudging the patient along to get what you want. The patient-centered bit needs to sort of broadly split into three main areas, and sort of like basically reason why do they get there? You know, what is the medical reason that they are come to your surgery today? Obviously, we're going to talk about ideas, concerns, expectations, and likely we're going to touch on psychosocial as well. The patient-centered bit needs to be cue-driven. Now, it's really good to nail down about what is a cue. Okay, this can lead a lot of candidates to be unstuck because they're either not tuned into cues or because of either language barriers or cultural differences, they just can't read what a cue is in front of them. So cue examples can be verbal, such as I'm worried it is what a sister had. I've had this like this before. The other doctor didn't listen and I've been worried since. And it's effectively throwaway comments or actions that are a gateway or a doorway to further information. And you can take them one of two ways. You can either ignore them and just be like, all right, yeah, cheers, thanks for that. Or you can focus in on them and sort of pull in more information. And the reason why I comment saying that they are either comments or actions is that there may be something obvious about it. So for example, in my CSA case, there was a lady with dizziness and she came in with a sick bowl. Okay, she didn't say that she was sick, but clearly she's given the cue or the action that she's feeling sick. Likewise, if you're dealing with someone with hip pain and they come in limping or with a stick, that is a non-verbal cue. And it's just being wary to be mindful of those. So in my CSA case for the dizziness, she had a big pile of keys in the bowl as well. And that subsequently led to them thinking about the DVLA rules as for vertigo effectively. So your starting gambit, and just be mindful if you're recording a telephone consultation, should ideally include an identification check. Okay, because you don't know 100% who's on the end of the phone. You haven't had the receptionist pre-screen them for you. You are it, sunshine. So I'd normally go, hi, my name is Dr. Dave Highmarsh from Eaglescliff Medical Practice. Can I just confirm your name, date of birth and first line of your address, please? So three distinct pieces of information that they should be able to identify. Hopefully they'll come back confirming who they are. And then you start off with your opening question, okay? So a lovely open question that will bring them to what they want. Now, going back, that open question, you must listen to the response because that response will drag you down those one of three areas. Okay, so your open question will either lead you to ideas, concerns, expectations, either basically the medical part or the psychosocial part. So listen, your natural instinct, because you've been medicalized in terms of your education and you're comfortable doing it, is to go down the medical route, asking like, how long has it been going on for, blah, 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 and trying to get to that diagnosis that way. but it leads to a disjointed consultation. So listen, listen, listen. So for example, which direction are they going? So it's on my back is causing me trouble. Okay, nice and easy one. Yes, they want to go medical. Brilliant, thank you very much. Oh, it's nothing. My wife told me to ring. She's really worried. Now, there's an ideas, concerns, expectation here, but it's not the patient's, it's the wife, okay? So you want to focus on ideas, concerns, expectation, but to get a satisfactory consultation, make sure you identify the wife's consultation concerns first, okay? I'm struggling at work. Finally, sort of psychosocial. Ideas, concerns, expectations. Yes, we bang on about it, but it's important to do. So think about it. Ideas, any thoughts of what's going on? What did your Google search show? If they come in saying, I've Googled it and I'm sorry, doctor, they've done the work for you. No, you pause them right there and go, brilliant. I'm so glad you've been on Google. What did it show? And their initial search, whether you like it or not, will get them your ideas, the concerns and expectations. Anything particularly worrying you. If they mention things that are significant, and you know what these are, i.e. cancer or dying, make sure you acknowledge them, okay? Expectations, just so I'm clear, what were you hoping for from a consultation today? If they give you the ideas, concerns, expectations, so they just rabbit it off and you're in an exam setting and you want to prove that you've listened, feel free just to summarise it. And again, this is individual. Medical, I'm not going to hammer on about this. You've all been through medical school or certainly had some form of medical training. You should be able to take a medical history by now. Don't forget though, and I've flagged this up, pun definitely intended, about red flags. So for every condition, just make sure that for every symptom or broad symptom that you've got a good safety net. They've given you one area. How do you move from one to the other? If the patient's nice to you and if you're listening, okay, I'll let you decide which one you're going to go down to. They will cue you across. Taking your back pain history, you've taken a really detailed history, and then at the throwaway comment at the end, once they're appreciated that they've exhausted the medical side, is that they said, oh, I'm worried it's what my sister had. What was that? Right, you've just cued me across to ideas, concerns, expectation, okay? And then you explore that. If that doesn't work, the other way is to be quite frank and ask permission, okay? So you've exhausted medical and you say, I'm really sorry, do you mind if I just ask you, is there anything you're particularly worried about? So you're taking a gentle pause in the consultation, applying the brakes and just redirecting them. As soon as you've done that, shut up, let them carry on. And then you're moving on to the examination, okay? And again, I'm not going to labour this point. You should be well versed to examining a patient right now. Then this comes to the diagnosis part, okay? And just bear that in mind because it's roughly at this area where you're crossing the bridge, okay? And going back to that original bit, that if your patient is not comfortable that they've given you all the information, give them that last chance. You know, is there anything else I've missed out? You know, just before, you know, you've examined them, they're happy with the situation, and then you're in control. Just remember that you're looking for a working diagnosis. It doesn't have to be spot on. And if you don't know, have no qualms in telling them that you're really sorry you don't. What you might be able to do with a don't know consultation is tell them what it's not. Okay, so for example, if they're worried that they've got a chest infection, that they need antibiotics, you can turn around and say, examined you, that your, pulse temperature, blood pressure are completely normal, you're not septic, I've had to listen to your chest and it's all clear. So from that aspect, I don't think you need antibiotics. Thank you very much, move on. Just remember, it should be specific to that patient. Okay, so feel free to, just adjust it as they need to be, okay? And then moving on from diagnosis is the explanation and subsequently the plan. Now the plan and the explanation need to be sort of joined in, and they ideally need to be linked in with the ideas, concerns, expectation. And what I mean by that is so I had a case on my CSA with a lady who had got menorrhagia, so heavy bleeding, and it came out in the consultation from the initial part that she wouldn't have a coil, she didn't want to have any form of hormone contraceptive pill, and that was her wishes, and she was giving me those in the initial part. Maybe an examism, but in the back of your mind, you roughly know where the condition is happening and what's going on, and you need to start formulating your plan. But with what their requests are, you can start either ticking them off or guiding it appropriately. The final thing to look at, and what Roger Neighbour sort of highlights, is the whole sort of wrapping up and housekeeping. Final say before I kick you out the door, are you happy with everything? Brilliant. Quick check. Okay, thinking if you're in primary care, certainly, is have they got any quaff points? Have they, are they eligible for their flu vaccine, COVID booster, that sort of bits and pieces. Is there anything we can do opportunistically whilst you're in my consultation room? So again, I'm a big fan of Roger Neighbour. He's done several books, in a physician, in a consultation, just to say the least. YouTube videos as well that, it's always worth just having a quick check. I'll chuck in a couple of links below just to sort of see it from that. I'll put links to the books as well on Amazon. 14 Fish, if you signed up, they have a whole load of CSA and RCA resources. Likewise, if you found this useful, please subscribe to the channel. If you got any particular bits and if you want further details about consultations, then just drop me a comment below and I can sort something out. If you're submitting your RCA very soon, very best of luck to you. Please let me know how you got on with that. I appreciate it's a relatively new exam and we're just sort of trying to get our way around with that. Anyway, Dr. Dave Harmarsh, GP Templates, thank you very much for your time. You have a lovely evening.